The museum's been in existence 50 years. It was founded in 1963 by an eccentric English gentleman called Frank Holland, and he started collecting self-playing instruments because they were in danger of disappearing from people's memory. All the other musical museums, certainly in Europe, normally trace their roots back to visits by their founders to this institution.
On the first weekend it was open, I visited the museum and I've never stayed away since. I became a volunteer. I was still a schoolboy then, and I'm still a volunteer in this museum 43 years later, and I'm now a pensioner. So I've gone right through a whole lifetime of work, but I'm still here in this museum, and that's why I keep walking around all the time, because if I stand still at one spot, everybody thinks I'm one of the exhibits.
The other concept Frank Holland had, which is very much against normal museum practice, is that instruments should be heard, not just seen. So we try and keep as many of our old instruments playing as possible. It's always a joy taking people around the museum because most people haven't encountered these instruments, and it's extraordinary to watch the realisation and the enjoyment on their face once they understand the context.
If you wanted to have music at home, you either had to learn to play a musical instrument yourself, and most people know how difficult that is, or you could always, of course, pay somebody else to come and play for you, but that's always expensive. And they started inventing and building self-playing musical instruments so that you could have decent quality music indoors. And for about 30 or 40 years, self-playing instruments reigned supreme in the home and in public places as well, things like fairground organs and what have you.
Even the basic systems would give you the right notes in the right order, so you got accurately played music. When the recording pianos came in 1904, it meant people like Paderewski, Rachmaninoff, Mahler, Grieg, George Gershwin, Ira Hess could actually record piano rolls, including all their expression in their performances. And if you were rich enough to afford one of the playback pianos, then you could really get the best in the world in your living room. I will always listen to a real piano playing rather than a CD of a piano, because it's got a presence to it in the room.
I'm not into all these modern gadgets, but of course it brings a huge world of sound into the average person's ear. 100 years ago, most people never, for instance, heard what a symphony orchestra was like or anything like that. And now, on their computer or on their little, they can hear it anytime they want. Is that good or bad? I leave that question to you.
One of my favourite machines. It was developed by a company called Mills Novelty of Chicago, who were specialists in arcade machines, pinball machines, anything with the old coin slot on the front. And this was aimed at the fairground and arcade market. Developed 1912, it has a piano in the back, 2 violins in the front, and it plays music from a paper roll down below. I think it's my favourite instrument because it is so, I don't know, quirky, I suppose. First of all, before I came here, I'd never come across self-playing violins. The ingenuity of the design is extremely interesting. Weights to keep the violin strings in tune, little celluloid, early plastic wheels which do the bowing. and it's just enormous fun.
These organs were originally built to accompany silent films, and the organist could sit at the console here, which was down in the orchestra pit in the theatre, look at the screen, and as the scenes changed on the film, they could play mood music that fitted the action. Imagine, for instance, you've got the baddie about to creep up on the goodie and hit him over the head, and just at the right point, the goodie looks round and sees the baddie and runs away. This is the sort of thing that they used to do. And so they could put all the action in, and then when the scene changed and there were two lovers sitting in the moonlight, they could play soft, romantic music. And they wanted these organs to sound as much like orchestras as possible. And so they have all these very lush orchestral sounds. And that's a sound that I fell in love with years ago. And I'm now very spoilt because I actually have an organ just like this in my own home down in southeast London, so I can play to my heart's content and just explore the fascinating sounds that these instruments make.